charges against these ICE agents. Meanwhile, protests continued for a second day across the country, where people voiced outrage over the shooting and called for ICE to leave their cities. Demonstrations took place in Boston, Chicago, Philadelphia, and Cleveland. Communities also held vigils to honor the life of the victim, Renee Nicole Good. The Trump administration deployed approximately 500 additional agents to Minnesota, adding to the roughly 2,000 DHS personnel already on the ground there. Governor Tim Walz has placed the National Guard on standby, ready to help police keep these demonstrations peaceful, which Walz has urged them to continue to be. Want to bring us live to the ground in Minneapolis as we start our show. MS Now reporter Nnamdi Egwuonwu is there. Nnamdi, talk about what you've seen so far, and also there's some new developments right behind you. We can all see the police lights there. What's going on?
Yeah, Ali, you'll have to forgive me for talking to you on my phone right now, but as we were setting up to talk to you today, yesterday we showed you the barrier that protesters had essentially erected on both sides of the street where the shooting took place yesterday. They turned it into a de facto sanctuary. They had vigils on the street. People routinely come to visit and pay their respects, and they were using things like chairs, pieces of wood, in some cases lift scooters, to make this artificial barrier. Well, earlier this morning, about 30 minutes ago, we saw dozens of Minneapolis police arrive on the scene here. They completely destroyed that barrier. They removed the protesters that were still inside of the area. And the police I've spoken to told me that they are now cordoning off the entire street where that shooting took place in order to, one, clean up the debris and continue their investigation. So that is a new development this morning, and that's why you're seeing such a large police presence behind me. Obviously, like you mentioned, this comes as protests and demonstrations continue tonight. This has been an active location of many of those demonstrations throughout the day. Many people in the community have been coming to this neighborhood to still see where all of this took place. We spoke to people who drove hours just to be here and make an appearance. That will no longer be an option as police now close off this entire area.
And what are those people saying to you as they demonstrate and protest and, like you and I were talking about yesterday, once again find themselves at the epicenter of a national flashpoint?
Ali, frustration is mounting, and it is clear, and it's only continued to grow as we've spoken to people over the last 24 hours. Specifically, the tenor and the messaging of these protests have shifted to growing demands for, like you just mentioned, the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office to charge the officer involved in this shooting. Despite the fact that the FBI has said that they're going to take over this investigation, the people I spoke to here says that the state cannot just sacrifice the role it could play in this investigation, and they're demanding action and charges. Now, I've spoken to legal experts that have acknowledged it may be an uphill battle for the state to try to bring charges against this officer or to successfully prosecute this officer. Nonetheless, that's exactly what the protesters here want to see happen.
So we'll ultimately end up seeing what happens on the investigation front. I know the state, again, is trying to figure out ways that they can find a way in themselves. At the same time, the administration and the FBI taking that over. But one more thing I want to get you on, Nnamdi. The Minneapolis public schools are actually shut down for the rest of the week due to an incident at a local high school. Can you talk to us a little bit more about what happened there?
Yeah, Ali, on Wednesday, a day after, actually the same day as this shooting, we learned that Customs and Border Patrol federal agents went to a local high school here, Roosevelt High School, and detained someone right outside of that school. Now, for context, the Department of Homeland Security says they were pursuing a U.S. citizen who brought them on a 5-mile car chase that ended at this school. They have tried to specify that they didn't aim to enter it, but still, it led to a big clash outside school grounds. This all happened as students were leaving, and it resulted in at least one use of what they called crowd control measures being used. It resulted in at least one